Hi, I promised you all a little video over the weekend to help you focus your studies a little bit more for the mock comp on Wednesday night. I have talked with Dr. Buckley and we have decided that you will have a choice. So you'll pick one question out of a possible, probably 3 or 4 choices. So I hope that helps you feel a little bit more comfortable with it, to know that you'll have some choice in the matter. As we discussed on Wednesday night, remember that we'll be focusing on the major points of the class, not the minutia, not the specifics. So be thinking about what were the major themes that we discussed. We've talked about philosophy of science, different ideas about what makes a scientific theory, how to do science. We've talked about the nature-nurture debate. We've talked about continuity versus discontinuity. So be thinking about those major themes and sort of what your stance is on those themes. Remember, we've talked about in class before also, there's no right or wrong answer. It's how well you can defend your answer. I will be looking for references, but as I said in class, I'm not going to expect, a reference list with volume numbers and page numbers and things like that as I would on a paper. This is simply going to be where I want to see, do you know of the research out there, the theories out there that can support or contradict the statements that you are making. So if it comes down to just saying Kuhn and you can't say, you don't remember the year, that's okay. Popper, you don't remember the year, that's okay. As long as I know that you can correctly attribute the main themes, the major arguments to the correct people. You may not remember what year Scar's article was published, but you might use her if you're talking about nature versus nurture, for example, and trying to help us understand what your take is on that. Another thing that I want you to remember is, we've talked about this before too, in this class, the major thing that we want, Dr. Buckley and I have talked about this before, that we want you to get out of this class is an understanding of the history of the philosophy of science, the history of science in our field, and what your own theoretical and philosophical stance is. So you may want to be thinking about how all the stuff that we have talked about in class up to so far, and including Lo, if she's speaking to you, how all that influences your philosophy of science. I think thinking about all of those things will help focus your studies. I think the most important thing for you to remember, though, is don't study specifics. We're not looking for definitions, not looking for fill-in-the-blanks, multiple choice type things. What we're looking for is, do you have an understanding of what we have discussed in class so far this semester? And can you then apply that understanding to a question that's asked of you? So I hope that helps you a little bit. If not, feel free to send me an email. I'm online all the way up until Wednesday, and we can certainly ask clarification questions on Wednesday night before the mock comp occurs, although I will not be giving you the question or the answers. Sorry. But hopefully this helps you focus a little bit. Remember, the idea is not if there's a right or wrong answer, but how well you can defend. How much evidence can you provide for the statements that you give? So if you were asked, for example, do you think development is continuous or discontinuous? And just, that's hypothetical, I doubt that will be one of the choices. But if you were asked that, I'm not going to grade you, and I don't think Dr. Buckley will either, on if you think it's discontinuous, you're right or wrong. No, what matters is, if you think development is discontinuous or a certain domain of development is discontinuous, tell us so, and then back it up with empirical and theoretical evidence for why you think that. I may not agree with you, but if you've made a good case, I can't help but give you a good score. Another thing, and I'm not sure if Dr. Buckley is going to be grading the same way, but this is the way I will be grading the comps. I've done this before. If you've had me in a doctoral level class before, you have experienced this. What I do when I grade these is I look and I say, would this question pass? If this question would pass without a whole lot of need for oral defense, you're going to get a very high score. And I'll put this on Blackboard for you, what the score breakdowns would be. But if it's a question that would pass without a lot of oral defense, you'll get 100. If it is a question that would pass, but I would have a lot of questions at orals, and you'd really have to be able to come and explain things more fully, it'll get a slightly lower grade. If it is a question, if it's an answer that I think might pass, but I really would have to hear a really good oral defense, That will result in another grade. And then if it's a question that I don't think would pass comps, that it would be a question that you would have a lot of in-depth conditions and or flat not pass at all, you would get another score. And so I'll be putting those up on Blackboard so that you can be aware of how the grade breakdown will go. So no scores in the middle, I guess what I'm saying. If it's a question that would pass without a whole lot of oral defense, maybe I'd walk in and say, wow, what a great answer. I really want to hear more about what you think about this discontinuous development in this domain. It's really interesting to me. You know, I'm not asking a question, I just want to talk about it more. You would get 100 on the answer. If it's a question that I'd really have a few minor questions, I want to make sure that you really understood, then we'd move down the progression from there. And I'll be posting that in the announcements space of Blackboard for you to look at as you prepare. Hope this was helpful. I'll see you all on Wednesday, and try not to worry about it too much. Remember what I told you last week on Tuesday night? Put your books away, sit down, enjoy Law and Order or whatever you enjoy doing on Tuesday evening. Spend some time with your family or friends, and try to de-stress. It doesn't do you any good to try to cram for a comp. If you don't know it by the time you walk in there or the night before, I don't think cramming is going to help. So try to give yourself some time to relax, get a good night's sleep, prepare yourself for the next day so you can reduce the stress that you're feeling as much as possible. And we'll have class on Wednesday night. We'll talk about the first few chapters of the Low book, Why Sex Matters, and then we will go have our mock comp. So looking forward to it. I haven't started reading your conceptualization papers yet either, but I will be doing that soon, and I'm really looking forward to reading what you all have written. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you on Wednesday.